Okay, so we are going to talk about adding rational numbers. We're splitting it up, these notes, into 2 days. So today we're just doing adding decimals. Here are the steps to adding decimals here. Step 1, 2, 3. So first we're going to line up the decimal points. Make sure the number with the greatest absolute value is on top. So we're going to look at example 1 as I go through this. So between these two numbers, the greatest absolute value is 6.2. So we're going to put 6.2 on top, and then we're going to line up the decimal points. That means the decimal points here have to be lined up. So we're going to put the decimal point right there under that one. I'm going to bring the 4 under the 6 so it lines up, and then the 5, and then the 7. There's missing stuff put in zeros for placeholders. So what that means is like there's no number here. So we're going to add a 0 in there. And now, if they're the same signs, which these ones are both positive, so we're going to add and keep in this case. If there are different signs, then we subtract, just like we did with integers. So in case these two are both positive, we're going to add and keep the sign. So we're going to do 0 plus 7 is 7. 2 plus 5 is 7. My decimal point just comes on down. 6 plus 4 is 10. There's my answer. Okay. So again, we figure out which one has the greatest absolute value, 7.56 or 1.2. Well, 7.56 goes on top. 1.2 we line up, so 1.2. Then we fill in any placeholders, any missing things. There's no number here. So we're going to put a 0. And then we have to figure out if we're adding or subtracting. Well, this is negative and this is negative. So we're going to add and keep. Okay, so we're going to add. And at the end, keep it negative. Okay, so 6 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 2 is 7. Bring your decimal point down. 7 plus 1 is 8. We're keeping the negative sign. So that's why it's negative 8.7. Okay. So we're looking at the example 3. If you're feeling confident, feel free to, pause and try example 3 and 4. But I'm going to talk it through. So this is your greatest absolute value. So that goes on top. And then we're looking at this plus 2. There's no decimal point. So remember that there's technically a 0.0 here that we just don't write after every whole number. Okay. But that means it's going to line up the 2 is going to line up under the 6, the decimal place, and there's a 0. Now we still have 2 place values missing, so we're going to add some zeros in there. And then this is negative and this one's positive. So these are opposite signs. So we're going to subtract. Okay, because they're opposite, we're going to subtract. We're really going to subtract these. Now we're going to do 3 minus 0 is 3. 2 minus 0 is 2. 3 minus 0 is 3. Bring your decimal place down. 6 minus 2 is 4. And again, we keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number was the top, so it should be negative 4.323. Okay. If you, again, try example 4 if you want to. This one's a little tricky. There's a lot of borrowing. So I'm just going to kind of work through it. 5.9 is the bigger number, so that's going to go on top. Then we have to put the 1.134 underneath. Line up your decimal places. We're missing place values, so we're adding zeros here. Then this is a positive, this is a negative, so these are opposite. So we're going to subtract. Okay. I can't subtract 0 minus 4. So I'd have to borrow, but I can't borrow from 0. So I really have to borrow from this 9. It becomes an 8. This became a 10, but remember we borrowed from it, so it's actually a 9, and this 0 becomes a 10. Okay, so let me kind of say all of that one more time. So we had an 8, 0, 0 here. We can't do 0 minus 4, so we have to borrow, but we can't borrow from 0. So we have to borrow from the 9 in order to make this 0 a 10, right? But we were borrowing, so this 10 becomes a 9 and this 0 becomes a 10. And now we can subtract. So 10 minus 4 is 6, 9 minus 3 is 6, 8 minus 1 is 7. Bring your decimal place down. 5 minus 1 is 4. The bigger number is positive, so my answer is positive. Okay. For this last one, we have a chart that marks positive numbers mean gains, negative numbers means losses, and we want to find the net profit. That means just add them all up. Okay? So we're going to write them in order exactly how we see it. So we're going to write negative 1.7 plus negative 4.75 plus 1.7 plus 0.8 plus 3.2. So now that we've written them all down, are there any numbers that look similar to each other? I see a negative 1.7 and a positive 1.7. I know that negative 1.7 plus 1.7 becomes 0. So I'm going to make that a 0. And then I'm going to rewrite the rest of this problem. So I'm just rewriting the rest of the problem now. Okay. And now I'm going to add up all my positives. So add up positives. Add positives first. Okay. So that's these two numbers. 0.8 plus 3.2. Those are both positive. And when I add those up, line them up if you need to. 2 plus 8 is 10. So 0, 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. So those become 4.0 plus negative 4.75. And now I have those two. So I'm going to line them up. Put in my 0 placeholder. They're opposite signs, so I really subtract them. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 0 is 7. Bring my decimal place down. 4 minus 4 is 0. The bigger number was negative. So I have negative 0.75. And when they're negative, remember that means losses. So the company had 0.75 losses over 5-year period. So we're just going to answer this question in our sentence. Okay? All right, so then you are going to go do assignment number 5, okay, in your packet. All right, great.